All right, the key idea, you should have already written in this in your journal. The slope of a line, you guys have been dealing with this since last week. Remember, the slope of a line is going up or down. And remember how to find it. You have rise over run. Rise being how you go up and run being always to the right. Now you see they did run over rise. Don't do that. Do rise over run. Ignore this. Rise over run. Okay? Now if the top or either one of the numbers is a negative, then your rise is actually going down. Hence you get the negative slope. Any questions so far? This is just a quick review of what you know. All right. So when you see slope, always think of the words rise over run. Wow, I was writing the word over. Rise over run. So this is your y value over your x value. Does that help? Good. So if I have a coordinate plane, and let's just say my slope equals 2/3. Okay, so I'm going to go up how many?
2.
Rise over run, so I'm going to go up 2, and then I'm going to go over how many?
3.
And put a dot, and then graph it. Comprende?
Comprendo.
So this is example 1. Should put this in your journal. You don't have to put the graphs, guys. You can just put the answers. You might put what page it's on, so that way if you go back to look at your example, you can be like, what page was this? This is page 56. So what we're doing here, it says, tell whether the slope of the line is positive or negative, and then find the slope. So first things first, is this one positive or negative, the first slope?
The first.
Is this positive or negative slope? Look at your key idea. Is this a positive or negative slope? It's a positive because it goes up and to the right. So this is a positive slope. Okay, what about this slope?
Negative.
Does everybody agree with Kim?
Yep.
She is correct. Why is this one negative?
Because it's pointing like
Down.
Because it's going down from left to right. So now we're going to find the actual slope. What does slope equal, remember? What are the words? Rise over run. So we're going to say slope equals. Okay, so when you're doing rise over run, you find 2 points on the line. And you count from one point to the other point by going up and then over. So starting right here, I go up how many? 1,
2, 3, 4.
I went up 5. And then to the right, how many?
6.
Does everybody agree with him?
yeah.
So my slope is 5, 6.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh.
Okay, again, we find 2 points on the graph. And we do rise over run. So now, if I'm going up or down first, to get to my second point, I'm going which direction on this one?
I don't know.
Which way did I go?
Down.
So I'm going to say negative. How many did I go down?
1, 3,
And then I go to the right. How many?
2.
So my slope is negative 3 over 2. If you have this line going this direction, anytime you see this, you're going to have a negative number for your slope. So just understand that, because it's a negative slope.
So you always go left to right?
Always left to right.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, whenever you do the run on the bottom, it's always going, start at the leftmost point and go to the right. All right, the next one. Example 2. All right. So we have, put this in your journals. So we have our 2 points. You see them?
Yeah.
So if I do rise over run, and I start at my leftmost point, how many up do I go? What's my rise?
Whatever.
To get from this point to this point, how many do I go up?
0.
0. How many do I go over? No, I count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my rise is 0 because I didn't go anywhere. It's a horizontal line.
Oh.
My run is 7. I went 7 over.
Oh.
Anytime you have a number on the bottom, you can't do 0 divided by 7. So my slope in this case is just 0. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay, so if you see a horizontal line, your slope is 0. Squeak, squeak. All right, let us do on your own. Number 1. Grab your piece of paper. I'm going to put all these on there, number 1, 2, and 3 together.
So how do we write this? Like,
You don't have to do the graph. You're just going to write the answers. So
oh, okay.
have your paper. Number 1, find the slope of the line. Well, first of all, looking at this, verbally tell me, is this positive slope, negative slope, or no slope?
Negative slope. That's, wait, what else? Yeah.
This one right here, is this a positive or negative or no slope?
Negative.
I think it's negative.
This is a negative slope.
Hey.
It's going down from left to right. What about number 2? Is that a positive, negative, or no slope?
No slope.
No, no slope.
No slope. Number 3, positive, negative, or no?
Positive.
Positive. You don't have to write this. I just wanted to put it out here so you could see it. So, for number 1, we start at the leftmost point, and my rise is up or down. Which way am I going?
Down.
Go down.
How many?
1.
So I'm going to say negative 1 over. What's my run?
That's like, yeah, 5.
So negative 1/5 is my slope. Okay. Number 2.
Stay.
And 0.
Huh?
Stay.
0.
15th.
Oh, negative 4.
So he got, what's my rise?
0.
0.
0.
Over how many is my run?
4.
3.
Negative 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I went too far, didn't I?
Yeah.
My bad. So it's technically 0 over 5. However, when you're writing the answer for just the slope, what's your answer?
Just 5. Oh no, oh.
0. It's okay.
Oh man.
It's all good. All right, number 3.
0.
Start at the leftmost point, which is this one down here. My rise is going which way?
Up.
So how many?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Over
1, 2. 5 over 2.
slope. That's how you find the slope.
4.
Oh, yay, no pre-algebra. It's not equations and stuff.
No, that's coming, don't worry.
No.
Shoot.
No, actually the equation's easier than counting.
I like this better than others.
I mean, I like this better than, like, just pre-algebra.
Trust me, when we get to the counting, it's get away from the counting, it's faster. That's okay. All right, so there's on your own numbers 1, 2, and 3. Let's do example 3. Okay, you need a graph. Get a graph. Get up out of your chairs and get a graph. You can cut it out later, but for now, we're just going to graph these points. So you're going to get a graph. Let me go find my graph. And we're going to graph each of these points on here. Okay, so where's my first point at? One comma 8, right?
Yeah.
So which way am I going to go? Start at 0, 0. I go to the right one and up how many?
8.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put a dot. Why is my dot not dotting? Oh yeah, now it works. Put a dot. That's close. There we go. So there's 1 point. What's my next point?
4 over 6. So
4 comma 6. So go over 4
And then next 6.
and then up 6. So right there. What's my next dot?
7 over 4.
So I go over how many?
7.
And up.
4.
And then my last one,
10 over 2.
10 over 2. So I have my 4 dots. If you can draw a straight line, hopefully. So for each of these, I'm going to find the change in y over the change in x. Change in y over the change in x. Guys, this is still the same thing as rise over run. They're just using a different way to say it. Change in y over the change in x. This is leading to the algebra way to solve this. It's fine. It's actually faster. Okay, so from here to here, we had our y values. Right? These are your 2 y values. So the first one was 8, and the second one was 6. So you subtract them.
2.
Okay? Then you have your change in x,
6 minus 1.
which would be 4 minus 1. Oh, I put all of that backwards. I'm sorry. No, that's still fine. As long as you put the points on the same side, so that's 1 point, this is 1 point, it'll work.
Okay.
So what's 8 minus 6?
2.
What's 1 minus 4?
3.
Negative 3, right?
Yeah, negative 3.
So you put a negative in front of there. So my slope is negative 2 over 3. Which makes sense, because which direction is this slope, is this line going? It's going down, right?
Yeah.
So it's a negative slope. So negative 2/3 makes sense.
Yeah.
Any questions on how we got the slope here? Because you are going to have to graph a table, and then you find the change in y, so you take 2 points. It can be any 2 points on the graph. You could have done 4 minus 2, and then 7 minus 10.
So you choose one of those ranges.
You just have to choose any 2 points on the graph. All right, so let's do on your own number 4. You will need a graph. All right, we're to draw the points on a graph and then find the slope. So what's my first point?
No. 1.
1, 2.
So I start at 0, 0, I go over 1, up 2. I need a bigger dot. Woo! Close enough. What's my next point?
3 over 5. 3 over 5.
So I go over 3, up how many?
5.
What's my next point?
5 over 8.
Nope. I mean, that's it, but which way do I go?
Oh, 5.
Over 5,
Over 5. 3.
up,
3.
actually off the graph. Okay, and then I connect these. If I could draw straight, it'd be helpful. All right, so I need to find the slope here. So I'm going to pick 2 points on this graph. Which 2 points do I want to pick?
Whatever 2.
It doesn't matter which 2. Which 2 do you want to pick?
Over 2,
And?
3, 6.
Okay, so I'm going to find the change in y over the change in x. So I'm going to say 2 minus 5 over 1 minus 3. So what's 2 minus 5?
3. 2 minus 5. Negative.
Negative 3. What's 1 minus 3?
Negative 2. Well, 1, yeah, negative 2.
Negative 2. If I have a negative divided by a negative, what's my answer?
Positive.
So the answer to this slope is, yep, 3 over, 2. So my slope is 3 over 2. Is this line a positive slope?
Yes.
Then you know you got it. You know you got your sign right. All right, let's do number 5. Let's graph these. So my x is negative 3, my y is 6. So starting at 0, which way am I going to go?
Nowhere. Horizontal.
Negative 3 over 6.
They're going to go down.
Negative 3 is on the x line.
Left.
Go to the left. 1, 2, 3, and then 6 is positive, so I'm going to go
6 up.
up. If you are still confused on how to graph a coordinate, this is really going to hurt you. Okay, when I see negative 3 over 6, you look at it like this way. Okay, this is my x, this is my y. So this is the x line, this is the y line. So on the x line, my point is negative 3, so I go back 3 on the x line. And then on the y line, it's a positive 6, so I go up 6. And some of you still tuned out while I talked. Okay? So, that's the first point. What's the next point?
Negative 2.
So I'm going to go which way first? Left 2, then
Oh, 4.
up 4. Please tell me you're graphing this. This is an assignment. Okay, my next point is negative 1, comma 2. I'm going to go which way?
Left.
Left 1, up 2. And my last point is at
0.
the origin, 0, 0. All right, so now we graph we draw the line. All right, so now we need to find the change in y over the change in x. So which 2 points do we want to use? Whenever you see 0, 0, let's use that one because the math is easy in your head. So change in y goes on top, so I'm going to say hold on, let me make a little shape here. All right, so I'm going to say 2 minus 0 for the change in y. The change in x is negative 1 minus 0. Right?
Yeah.
What's 2 minus 0? 2 minus 0 still leaves you with 2.
Okay.
Negative 1 minus 0 is
0. Oh wait. -1.
negative 1. Because if you're subtracting nothing from it, you're left with whatever you subtracted it from.
Yeah.
So then my slope is negative 2 over 1, which you could also write as just negative 2. Any questions on that?
Yes.
What's your question?
It's the whole fraction 2 over 1 negative.
Yes.
Okay.
But when you have any number over 1, it can be just turned into a whole number, negative 2.
Oh, okay.
So if I had negative 17 over 1, it'd be negative 17.
Oh.
Any number over 1 is just the top number
Okay. So
when you're dealing with slopes.
Okay. So if you have -1, that's automatically the whole fraction is.
Correct. It turns the whole fraction to a negative. All right. Let's look at example 4. Yep, I guess you could have gone anyways then. All right, so we're looking at example 4 in your books. We're going to decide which 2 of these 3 lines are parallel. A parallel line has to have the same slope. That's your key idea you should have written in your journal. Parallel lines have the exact same slope. So for these 3 lines, all we have to do is find the slope of each line, and the 2 that have the exact same slope, we know they're parallel. The only exception would be they cannot have the same y-intercept. If they have the exact same slope and y-intercept, then they're on each other, so they're the same line. So I'm not sure they'd be parallel. It's so weird. So, all right. So how do we find slope again? Rise over run, or change in y over change in x, whichever one you want to use. It's the same thing though. So let's look at the blue line first. What's my rise over my run? How many did I go up?
5. No, 4.
4.
4.
Over.
2.
How many did I go over? Right here. How many did I go over? 1. So my slope is 4 over 1, which can just be written as 4. All right, let's look at the red line. Slope equals, so count up. How many am I going up?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
How many did I go over?
1.
So my slope is 5 over 1 on this one.
Yes.
So far my slopes are different. Let's look at the green line. Starting at the bottom, how many did I go up?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Over, how many did I go?
1,
Which means my slope is?
4.
So which lines are parallel?
4 and split 4, 1, 4, 1.
So which lines are parallel?
Blue line and green line.
The blue line and the green line.
Yes.
Always make sure you answer the actual question. Parallel lines. Blue and green. Any questions on how to find slope?
No.
All right, on your 6, put this on your paper. All right, again, we're finding parallel lines. First, looking at this, do we know whether the slope is negative or positive? They're all negative lines, aren't they? They're going down. So we know our slope is going to be negative. Let's just finish up real quick. So starting at this point, I went down how many? Shh. I go down how many?
2.
And then I go over how many?
5. No. 6.
Okay, can I reduce negative 2 over 6?
Yeah.
I would get negative 1/3. Slope of the red line goes down how many? Over how many?
3.
Negative 1/3. So those might be the two parallel lines. What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's double check and see if the third one's parallel also. I go down how many?
2.
And I go over how many?
7.
So there's my third slope. So which two lines are parallel?
The blue and red.
Very good. Make sure you put this on your paper.
Okay, I gotta cut this.
All right, that's it. Have a good day. You need to do IXL Y4.